late in setting off this evening. Trying to let it cool down a little bit, but it's still well over 20 centigrade. In fact, in the car at the moment it's 23.5 centigrade, and I'm heading back out for another moth trapping session. Despite the fact that I trapped last night, I'm heading to Lound Wood, where it could be an exciting night in terms of migrant moths. More about that in a minute. Oh, it's still very warm and humid too. I was walking around here today and they say the temperature was topping 30 centigrade. But while I was walking around this field, I was disturbing silver wire moths with virtually every footstep, and especially around the grassy edges. The field is full of silver wires. Hopefully some of them might turn up here at the light. But it's a beautiful evening and it should be warmer than it was last night. No quail tonight. Well, that's the seam, and it's time to switch the light on in a minute or two. I'm just having a breather and a cup of tea just to see if I can cool down a little bit. But this field today gave evidence of migration occurring in the last 24 hours or so. Fresh painted ladies here, painted ladies going through again. I had 20 go through in all, and that included 2 in the garden. But the best sighting of the day for me came this evening, just after 8 o'clock this evening, when there was a hummingbird hawk moth nectarian valerian in the garden. In this field, further evidence of a large arrival of migrants were the 100 or so silver wires that I disturbed walking around the edges of this. They were everywhere and just coming up as you walked round the field. Last night, of course, I had good numbers of diamondback moth. I'm hopeful that we'll get decent numbers again of migrants, but it is the most beautiful evening. I'm hoping that tonight's session is a little bit more leisurely. Yesterday wasn't overly busy by any means, but it got to the point where it did feel rushed. There was a lot coming in the end, actually, the later it got. But I'm hoping because of the heat tonight I can take it a little bit more at a slower pace and just sit and see what comes in. Just the occasional walk around the sheet. That will probably change, of course, but that's my plan. My next plan is also to have a cup of tea. But a nice range of moths that have come in, more species than at this time last night, and we've got diamondback moths in. There's about 3 or 4 diamondback moths, and the first cockchafer of the year. Thankfully, I don't get plagued by cockchafers in the same manner as other moth trappers do, and they're free to sort of come and go as they please, but they can be a nuisance thudding about as a second one just drops in. They are a big beetle. So, cup of tea time it is. There's a wide range of invertebrates on the sheet. There's some interesting looking beetles which I will take some home that look the most interesting and that I don't recognise. But also there's a nice range of moths as well. I'll go through some of the species that have come in, but perhaps the most interesting of the night is a micro, of which there's been a number of micros this evening of different species, but it's Triaxomera fulvimitrella, and it's a beautifully marked species. At first I didn't think that I'd recorded it here at Egan before, but it seems, according to the website, that indeed I have. But we did used to turn it up, Dillis and myself, a couple of times at the Sherwood Forest Country Park, and nice to see that one again because it's a long time since I've seen fulvimitrella. But as you can see, it's an active sheet. Something quite interesting there just to the right of the light. I'm laid here prone on the ground, which is something I like to do. It gives me a different perspective of what's on the sheet and what's coming in. I'm buggered though if something drops in at the far end of the sheet and I've got to try and get up and catch it. But it's nice just to lie here and watch the moths and the other insects come in. Can't do it if there's loads of midges and mosquitoes. It becomes a bit of a pain then, and when it's like that, it's best to stand near the car for 10-15 minutes. There's been some nice species coming, some nice micros. Incaveria olmaniella. I don't think I've showed that before. This I used to get that here quite regularly years ago, but it seems to be a long time since I've seen it. But there are 2 in, and I will put photos in. It's an attractive species. Agapita humana is a nice yellow micro moth. Most people who trap moths will have seen it. There are some pinkish brownish markings on it, but it's a very attractive species and very common too. Everyone will catch it at some time in their traps, even if the trap at home. Surprise of the evening was a really well marked and almost pristine conditioned red-green carpet, and that's a moth that's overwintered. The females only overwinter, they mate in the autumn, and the females survive through the winter to lay their eggs in the spring. But we're right at the end of May now, and so it is getting rather late, and yet it was in immaculate condition, and that was a surprise. But there's a grass rivulet in somewhere, and that's a rather diminutive and poorly marked species. You could easily miss it. In fact, I didn't record it until last year. I think I had one on Red Hill last year, but I also recorded it, I seem to remember, at Besthorpe. So nice to see that species here. But you'll notice also how breezy it is. It wasn't like this at all, but until about half an hour ago. It's playing havoc with my hair. the breeze continues, but it's brought in something very nice and something that I hoped for. I'd forgotten the introduction to this video, but it's a small mottled willow found at the base of the light as I was just walking around to have a look to see if anything had come in that I'd not noticed. It's a migrant moth, of which a lot have turned up in the south coast over the last sort of week or so, but many more were seen in continental Europe, and we knew that these were coming. And it's not a common migrant though. In Nottinghamshire there's not many records. We can go several years sometimes without one of these turning up. So a very nice migrant. It's boding well for migrant moths at the moment this year. It's really doing well, and it's a nice one to get in May. Normally I'd be looking later in the year to attract that, but it's not a species, small mottled willow, that we've ever trapped a lot of. And here's a new one for Egrin. This is a grey birch. I'll put photos of this in, and no need to take this home, but yes, I've checked up and it's a new species. It used to be common, probably still is, in the Sherwood Forest area, and you could often disturb one of these off the trunks of silver birch trees, and they are very well camouflaged. Quite often you don't realise they're there until they're up and off. It's basically a light grey moth, quite grainy, the coloration to the wings, and there's arrangements of black dots on there. It's an attractive species actually, but just plain grey. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's grey and it's found on birch trees, and there's not that many birch trees here at Egrin, so this is a nice one to get. It's not a species that I really expected, despite it being relatively common. Otherwise, species that have come in, Cetaceous Hebrew characters, the first willow beauty of the year, orange footman. There's a nicely marked seraphim on the book here, and lots of activity on the sheet. And I think there needs to be some activity from the flask of tea that I have at my side. But I'm going to continue to stay here. It's going to be even warmer indoors at home, but tomorrow will definitely be a day at home for me, because I've got lots to do on the website and lots to do in terms of editing videos. Never a dull moment or a quiet moment once you're retired, you know. You'll wonder where you ever found the time to do anything. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm just trying to get some footage that I can drop in to show you. This is probably one of the most colourful moths that have come in this evening. This is a small elephant hawk moth, and down to the right of it is a lime speck pug, the most distinctive pug that we have here in the UK. Small elephant hawk moth. I remember catching one, my first ever one. I netted it at Egrin Flash one evening years ago before I really started trapping. Quite regular in the Sherwood Forest area and the heathland areas, but not always so common at a site like Egrin. But it has become more regular now, and what a thing to become more regular. It's an absolute beauty of a moth. Elephant hawk moth is beautiful enough, but small elephant hawk moth is more diminutive and absolutely beautiful. There's a fabulous clouded silver. I do like clouded silver, it's absolutely lovely marked moth, but you can see how busy it is and how difficult it is to get any sort of decent length of footage of these moths. And the breeze isn't helping. In fact, it's more windy now than a breeze. But clouded silver, when pristine like this, is a truly beautiful species, delicately marked, almost shaded, those areas of grey and almost black. It's a beautiful moth, and thankfully fairly common too. Well, as you can probably see from the foliage behind me and hear blowing over the microphone, the breeze has become even stronger, and in fact it's windy now more than breezy, and that's sort of spoilt it. Got no chance of filming anything because the moths are being blown all over the place, and because of the number of moths and the insects on the sheet, can't get any footage at all. So while I'm packing up, I will see if I can add to the 55 or so species that I've got in the notebook. There's a few micros to go home to be identified, but it's been a really nice session, very pleasant. It's still 21 degrees centigrade even at 1 o'clock in the morning, so steady back up it is, and then we head for home.